And those two different systems utilize two separate muscle groups that aren't connected. And the two different systems also use two separate finger groups. The first system is the little finger group, which the little fingers close, and they're closing using the lower arm muscles. The lower arm muscles connect to the chest and the stomach, and the feet and legs can actually be put into that closure. The other group is the index and the middle finger group, and when the index and middle finger group are closing, they're using the upper arm muscles. And these upper arm muscles connect to the neck and shoulder. So if we close little finger first, we are using the lower arm muscles. If we close index finger first, we're using the upper arm muscles. Little finger first, lower arm muscles connecting into the chest and stomach. Index and middle finger first, using the upper arm muscles connecting into the neck and shoulder. These muscle groups contract, they give different rotations to the hand. And this is because of either the lower arm muscles are pulling or the upper arm muscles are pulling. So when we do the little finger grasp, the lower arm muscles are contracting, so they're pulling the hand downward. As the grip tightens, the hand goes down or rotates downwards. As the index and middle finger contract tightly, they're using the upper arm muscles, so the hand rotates upwards as the grip is tightened. Again, little fingers, lower arm muscles are contracting. As it tightens, the hand rotates forward. Index and middle finger group using the upper arm muscles and the neck and shoulder muscles. As they contract, the hand rotates upwards. We can also see that as the little fingers contract first and the hand rotates forwards, we get a straight line going from the knuckle into the upper arm. When the index and middle fingers contract, the hand rotating upward doesn't give us the straight line here, but it gives us a vertical plane to the front of the fist. The little finger grasp, as the hand rotates downward, we have a straight line here, but the plane of the knuckles of the fist is now at an angle. We'll also notice that there's different abilities to resist fatigue. The little finger group going into the chest and stomach muscles, when you clench tightly, you can feel that there's no connection to the neck and shoulder. When we close with the index and middle finger, you can feel the neck and shoulder muscles tighten, and because they're of a smaller muscle mass than the chest and stomachs, you can feel them begin to fatigue. When we get into energy transmission, the abdomen area, also referred to as like the hara or the center, the dantian, that's located in the abdomen. So the energy transmission from the abdomen, center dantian, goes from the stomach to the chest to the lower arm muscles, following the same path to the little fingers. the index and middle finger going to the upper arm and the neck and the shoulders are not connected to the abdomen, so you don't get a transmission of energy from the abdomen to these two fingers, essentially. As the hand closes, the thumb position also affects the grasp and will also affect the effective energy in the grasp. So as the thumb goes down, the thumb muscle will tighten, and that will help secure the grip. If the thumb is forward, the thumb muscle is now relaxed. The grip isn't as tight, but you could see that there's a forward type of energy flow or direction caused by the thumb. If you can't feel it that well, just grab an object that has a little bit of weight to it, and then do the index and middle finger. Clench that, and you'll feel the upper arm muscles being used, and it doesn't take long for the neck and shoulder muscles to fatigue. Switch to the little finger group, and you can feel the lower arm muscles tightening, and you'll feel the neck and shoulder muscles and the upper arm muscles relax. Go back, and then you'll feel the neck and shoulder muscles tightening, the outer arm muscles tightening. Then you can go back again to little fingers, feel the neck and shoulder relax as well. Also notice that you have more endurance using the larger mass of the stomach and chest. When we get to energy flows that go through the stomach and chest, which include breath types of energy, the fatigue of the muscles gets even less. As we close, little finger first, the hand is going to fold in half along that crease, and it's going to conform to the object being grasped completely. There's no airspace. It's a sort of soft type of grip. We would call it an alive grip. If we close with the index and middle finger first, you can see the cup formed in the middle of the palm, and that cup formed in the middle of the palm will still slightly be there as the grip is tightened. And this gives us a tight grip, but we would call this a dead grip because you don't have full contact with the object being grasped. Also, the pivot points of the object being grasped changes with the two types of muscle groups and two finger groups. Little finger first, we're tighter around this area, so the pivot point of motion of the object is here. And as the grip continues to close, the area of the thumb and web of the thumb is not closed as tightly because we're grabbing tight with the little fingers, so that up here we have a softer, relaxed type of contact with the object being grasped. You'll notice that the thumb is down. The thumb muscle is now contracted, so it helps seal and tighten that grip. Thumb up, the thumb muscle is now relaxed, but we have a forward energy flow directed by that thumb as well. When we close with the index and middle finger first, naturally we close first in this area, or the tightest, and this area is where the pivot point is going to be. And we're more relaxed at the two little fingers. So we have a constriction here at this pivot point, and the web of the thumb now is more rigid or firm because it's being clenched. Whether it's thumb down or thumb up, it still is a more rigid or tight type of constrictive grip, or even choking grip at the top. So what this difference of pivot points and whether that web of the thumb is relaxed or not affects the pliability or the liveliness of the object being held. I have a complete conforming of the object to the hand. The difference is, if I go index finger first, I made that cup in the center of my palm. And now I find that I don't have the same conforming to the object being grasped because I have that air pocket in the center of the palm. Also, the thumb and the web of the thumb are grabbing tightly to hold tight, and in contrast, the little fingers are grabbing less tightly. So I have a pivot point now in this area, the thumb area, where it's tight. You don't see there's as much movement. And what that gives us is a very tight, rigid, or almost like a choking grip. And you'll notice that the movement now isn't going to be as pliable as with the little finger grip. So this is index and middle finger, a very rigid. I'm tight here. That's the pivot point, and that's the movement. If I switch to little finger grip first, now I have a pivot point down here. It's softer at the thumb and web of the thumb, and now you'll notice I have more freedom of motion. There's more of a feeling of where the object is in space as well. So this is little finger grip with its pliability, rotating about the pivot point down here. When I switch to index and middle finger grip, the constriction, you can see the tightness of those upper arm muscles. So that's some of the differences of the biodynamics of the two grips. One gives us a more flexible, conforming, alive feeling, and the other one has a more constrictive, rigid. There's less feel to the object that's being grasped. With the index grip, little finger grip, everything changes. What we also notice is because of the rotation of the hand in two different directions also, caused by the type of grips, it changes the motion of the object being grasped. So as I tighten quickly with the little fingers, the hand rotates downward, and the object being held also rotates downward. And I end up with this straight line here. If I grab tightly with the index and middle finger, you'll notice the hand will rotate upwards, and the object also moved in that same direction as well. Little finger grip, index and middle finger grip. So the hand is still rotating with the two grips. So if we want to increase motion, say going forward, if you're like hammering or want to accelerate the object forward, then the little finger grip, as you grab tighter, also adds that forward energy to the motion of the object. The tightening the grip with the index and middle finger is restricting that forward movement. The little finger grip would add or increase or allow that forward movement. Also, if we want something to have either for stability or different types of energy factors, if we wanted to have a straight line, this area, then the little finger grip naturally will give you that straight vector. The index and middle finger will give you a vertical vector with the front of the palm, but not a straight vector here. Little finger grip, straight vector here, an angle at the face of the palm, index and middle finger grip, straight vector in the face of the knuckles, but not a straight vector going into the wrist. So when we're studying the biodynamics of the two types of hand grasps, the two different muscle groups, and when we also consider the fatigue element into the neck and shoulders, depending on what we're doing, we can change the biodynamics of the situation by choosing which of the two muscle groups we want to use when we're grasping an object. And you'll also notice that it's just not a zero-sum game. You have to just use one or the other. We can start with one motion and then end with the other muscle group. Or we can do the opposite. Start with this muscle group and then tighten. Or if we want to use the neck and shoulder muscles to begin the motion, we can grasp tightly here, use neck and shoulder muscles, and then if at the end of the motion, if we want to relax, we can change to lower arm, chest, and stomach muscles with the little finger grip. So we could start with index and middle finger grip, and as the motion continues, we change to little finger grip, accelerating the object, in this case, adding flexibility, and we could also add energy from the abdomen area as well when we look into the energy flows involved. So understanding the biodynamics of the hand grasp and just studying just effects of two muscle groups, two different finger groups, and their effects on the object we are holding, we can then mix and match to enhance our performance or the subtleties of our performance. Empowerment is also the idea of I'm going to control the situation, control the variables as well. You'll notice we also include a driving video as part of the video series because these biodynamics are basic, so they can be applied to other areas, and we can practice and integrate the biodynamics into our daily behavior by practice and training. And if we use the biodynamics of driving, all the time you spent behind the wheel can be actually used to train and practice these biodynamics. Also, the same visualizations that we use apply to the vehicle as well. So when we're talking about empowerment with the driving, we have a little phrase that says you could be content just to be driving between the lines, or you can pick the exact path on which you want to travel. And this is empowerment as well.